1, 2, 3, yeah! This is Amari Purple Talk. Yes. Welcome to episode 65 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, your imagination funk soloist. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please leave your comments in the comments section below, and please download on your favorite podcast platform. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And with that out of the way, let's start the show. And we're going to start today by my suggestion that Prince's album, The Truth, should be a standalone release. All right, so in the liner notes to Prince's 1996 album, Emancipation, there were hints dropped that Crystal Ball, a 3-CD album release, was going to drop, as well as an acoustic album titled The Truth. Originally, these albums were going to be distributed by EMI Records, which distributed the Emancipation album. But when that label sort of folded, any future plans for record distribution through that channel pretty much just fell through. So kind of left Prince without a backup plan, so to speak. But he was able to kind of independently find a way to distribute Crystal Ball, and also bundling the Truth album, and in some cases a 5th disc entitled Kama Sutra, which is an orchestral album. But long story short, The Truth is an amazing standalone album. Of course, as well, you know, the Crystal Ball, it's a 3 CD set, and it's basically just tracks from the vault, mostly from 1986 all the way up until about 94, 95. But The Truth, which a lot of people believe was recorded immediately after the completion of sequencing of the Emancipation album, since pretty much a lot of those tracks had begun all the way back in, like, maybe as early as 94, but definitely a lot of recording during 95 for that. But again, The Truth is an amazing album on its own. You know, it can stand alone. And to kind of piggyback from last week's topic, as, you know, what would have happened if in some alternate reality that Prince, either between 93 to 96, or even all the way to 2000, didn't release any new music that was recorded. And the possibility in one of those scenarios is that, say, Emancipation dropped, and then say immediately after that, The Truth drops. And again, you know, this showcases Prince's versatility. We're finding out things now that basically Prince had always wanted to do more acoustic stuff, either, you know, on albums or do a complete acoustic album on his own. But of course, you know, record company pressures prevented him from really 100% carrying out his ideas. You know, we're used to him having a certain amount of control as far as producing, writing, arranging, performing all of his own material, him picking out the singles to be released, that sort of thing. But as we know, kind of at least as early as Let's Work, which was originally supposed to be called Let's Rock, to kind of capitalize on the dance craze back then. That was kind of the first time that Warner Brothers said, nah, don't do that. But really, I think the first major setback of creative freedom started with the original configuration of Crystal Ball, which got whittled down to Sign of the Times. So if you kind of look at Emancipation, where originally he wanted Crystal Ball to be a 3 LP release, to me this is Prince saying, hey, Emancipation, this is 3 CDs. Remember when you said that wouldn't work? Bam. And it worked. And I think that with The Truth, I think again, it was a case of, yeah, remember when you said I couldn't put out a album of acoustic music? Here it is. And it worked. But, it got lost in the shuffle of Crystal Ball. Just, you had so many CDs bundled in. Like I said, if you bought it retail, you got the 4 CDs like I have. People that ordered it through the 1-800 New Funk got the 5 CDs. And, given that this was sort of kind of guerrilla, record company marketing at this point, because he was, doing it all himself. He's a major superstar now functioning as an indie label, and at the same time utilizing very innovative ways of getting that music distributed. And a great album is lost. Not a few, but sometime during season 1 of Amari Purple Talk, I put forth a poll asking if Sony re-releases Crystal Ball, should The Truth continue to be bundled with it, or should it just be a standalone release? And it was a very close margin, if I remember, but the opinion led closer to it being a standalone release. And like I said, over and over these last few minutes, it's a great album, and it's lost in the shuffle of so many great Prince albums. And to me, I feel that like Emancipation, like Artificial Age, these are sort of more modern classics. There are some really great songs on this album. We kind of make it almost a cliche about, the way to get to know Prince is through his music. You can kind of dissect certain lyrics of, either certain classic songs like When Doves Cry, certain things on certain albums. If you noticed, are, the Twitter threads, and, not just the ones that I've been a part of, but just about all of them, where, we dissect certain albums and how they came to be recorded, how the possible origin or the exact origin of a lot of songs. And, you kind of get that sort of deeper dive that once you really look at it from those perspectives, it's, like, wow, this is pretty revealing, oh, this was his actual mindset, this is what he was feeling during the recording of this. And to me, there's few albums, like, there's Marvin Gaye who, bears his complete soul out on records, entire albums like Hear My Dear, that's telling a story. The I Want You album, that's, telling a story, it's right there, John Lennon, his solo stuff, it's right there. And to me, there's few Prince albums where it's right there. You kind of have to turn them upside down almost to kind of get the meaning of a lot of them. But to me, The Truth is kind of one of those where the more I've listened to it, the more that it's right there. From the first song on, it's it's kind of response to whatever, whether it's critics or certain fans or whatever. The Truth as a song, it's a response to that. Don't Play Me, that's another response. It's right there. It's kind of like, Hello, the B-side Hello, that was telling a story. That was based on, some actual stuff, his actual thoughts. And, here with both The Truth, Don't Play Me, you get that. And then the rest of the album, there's, reminiscence of high school, Circle of Amour. You kind of get maybe more the deeper story to that, or maybe more the real story. Maybe as a song, maybe he exaggerated some bits here and there. But if you read the beautiful ones, maybe there's, you kind of get where that inspiration is, kind of reminiscing about, a couple of girls from high school. Then Animal Kingdom, that's his philosophy on, being a vegetarian or being vegan, his thoughts right there, no imagery, no poetic whatever it is, it's right there. It's him laying it right there on the line. Then you have like Come Back, which is very telling. It's dealing with loss. We won't get into that heavier on this episode, but you get a glimpse, especially if you've read this thing called Life, other things that have come out recently, that's where loss, he's affected by that. And it's a beautiful sort of getting those feelings and emotions out with that song. There's Welcome to the Dawn, there's a great song there. Fascination, damn good piece of work. And I think, it's not contemporary pop. There's no dance floor anthems associated with this. But I think had this been released as a standalone record, I think, critically, it would have, been a critical success. And like I said, kind of piggybacking off of last week's episode, I think that if Prince had a time to just kind of take some time off and reflect and come back with a different perspective on things, then this would have been the material that would have been consistent. And it's wild because there was that consistency, but again, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of so much material back to back. Like I said, this album buried under the weight of 3 CDs of 50% in vault in demand material, stuff, recent stuff that it's like there just wasn't room on other albums, sort of kind of like a 1994-95 fire sale of certain songs. Then you have, after that, the year after that, New Power Soul, then GCS and Shaka Khan's Come to My House, and you have to digest that. And then the year after that, it's 2 versions of Rave, plus another album of vault tracks, maybe not necessarily as in demand, but still more Prince to digest. But, in between all of that, like I said, you had an album like The Truth, you've had The Rainbow Children, you've had News. And I think that if you didn't have all that sort of filler in between. Like I said, if he was able to kind of step back and not necessarily edit as far as the recording process, but edit in the flow of release schedule, yeah, you could have dropped Emancipation in 96. You could have gotten the Truth album, say 97, 98. A Rainbow Children in 2000. Then, he could have gone to the left with Expectation, come out with News. And like I said, then if he was going to do a musicology or, something commercial like that, I think that we'd be able to appreciate these things a lot more. Or mainstream, the fan base, like I said, we know it's there. And, if we got time to get around to it and we've digested it, we know, oh, this was great. This is a great album. But I think as far as the fan base, we was going, oh, this is a great album. And, it's a year and a half later and it's like, oh, it's still a great album. And, oh, here's a new one. Then you get to digest that a bit. But, it's like, oh, this is great. Oh, wait, what's he putting out next month? Oh, yep. Oh, got to get ready for that one. So, again, who knows? That might have been album of the year, Grammy award winning, because it would have been different, or whatever Grammy category, that would have succeeded, just if the rest of the world would have been aware of it and not just bury it inside of a compilation, a box set compilation. But I think if you release it now, as just a standalone, I wouldn't even, at this point, as much as we want it, and I know with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's slowed a lot of things down. The movie industry, it's kind of in flux because, they're still producing things, but there's no telling when these things will come out. And there's still a backlog of movies to still release, that should have been out this year. Music is a little bit different, but, we've had two very huge releases this year, with the Rainbow Children, One Night Alone, that whole bundle, even though that was necessary. That's actually one big box set on its own because everything's related, because the One Night Alone live, there's material from the Rainbow Children, there's the One Night Alone, the solo studio album, there's the after show, which is connected. So that made sense to kind of put all of that out together. But, and then we've had Sign of the Times, and we're still digesting that one. So, we'll later on, especially starting with the next topic, but also in some future episodes too, start to speculate on what's going to happen for 2021. But I wouldn't even wait. I wouldn't wait and release the Truth as a bundle. I would just go ahead and, release it. How Sony was doing kind of like 3 albums in a row, just kind of cranking the stuff out. I don't know if I would continue with that format. I would probably just, release Crystal Ball, just the 3 CD set. And then that way we're kind of as complete with, the Crystal Ball configuration, the Sign of the Times. We'll be as close as we can get to that for right now if you drop that. But then, or if you drop that and you drop the Truth, it'll still be a standalone. You'll just buy the single CD. You get to buy the vinyl just on its own if you choose to want to do that. But I would just kind of, not necessarily release it right away, but just kind of release it at some point just as a standalone. Let it get the attention. Let Rolling Stone review it, you know, give it 4 stars. Like to see it get 5, but the most they'll probably would give it would be 4, just because of just the quality of the material. It's Prince. There's very little filler that's on the album. I don't know. To me, I don't know, Man in a Uniform. I don't know. I'm not really into that track too much. I don't know. If I listen to it again a few more times, I might change my mind about it. But, all of the songs I mentioned earlier, the title track, Don't Play Me. Let's see, Third Eye is a great song. Again, Fascination. That's probably my favorite, just kind of as the album flows. And then when it gets to that track, then, I'm still excited about the album. I'm not ready to take it off and put on another one. Yeah, but this is definitely one I want to see kind of get more exposure, and also weigh it up there with a lot of his classic 80s material. And, it showcases his versatility. Like I said, it's not a pop record. It's not, there's no dance floor anthems to attach to it. There's no obvious, hit singles, but just as an album, as a work of art, you get to see, whether it's a Bob Dylan or Neil Young, get to be versatile, or, they do these type of albums and they get measured as albums and not necessarily what, was going to be on American Bandstand or anything like that, or later on, or MTV. It's just, this is an artist doing what an artist does, and it comes out great. And, whether you're a music fan in general, or you're a fan of a particular artist, or if you just love albums, this is one of those things where it's judged as an album. So again, I like to see this get that type of attention. But what's most important is, what do you think? Do you think you want to see The Truth as a standalone release all by itself? Don't bundle it with anything. Don't release it with anything. Give it its own release, single CD, vinyl LP. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And from that, we're going to move on to something related to what I just mentioned earlier. And this is the possibility of vault releases, and not the ones that you would expect. I mean, I'm talking about after the show, there's the after party. And after the party, there's that rehearsal in the Paisley Park lobby. That's what I'm talking about. And it's those releases that don't necessarily have any historical significance. Because usually, if you look at other legacy artists, and there's certain concerts or, certain unreleased albums, that even though the mainstream might be unaware, it just has such a place in that artist's history or that band's history that, it's an in-demand release. And the fan base is well aware of it, and it's in demand. So not necessarily talking about those, like the birthday show at First Avenue from 1984. That I can see as getting a mainstream standalone release. I can see Sony putting that out at some point. The legendary, again, First Avenue, August of 1983. Again, that's significant because that's the debut of a lot of songs from Purple Rain. The first time they've been heard by anybody outside of Prince and the Revolution. So those things are kind of mainstream, but I'm talking about things like, not even small club, because to me that's legendary enough, again, to get like, Sony could put that out and it would work. It would sell. But the things like, certain rehearsals, certain after shows, there's, kind of as I was putting together this episode, it's kind of going through the tapes to see what I had. There's one, I have no idea. It was given to me by a friend of mine, and basically didn't have the cover to it, I don't think, or at least I think I might have lost the cover to it. But on the cassette itself, it just says sneak tip, because it's kind of our little code word for the bootleg stuff. And it was one side of it. It's an after show. It opens with Housequake, kind of. It's not like the full version of it, but just kind of like a snippet of Housequake. And it goes into this big instrumental jam. And it's built around a guitar riff, which we now know is Raven to the Joy Fantastic now. So it goes into that riff. There's Just My Imagination that's on it. So I'm assuming it's like Love Sexy era, this particular bootleg. If anybody's aware of it, please let me know in the comments on what it is. But it's, that one is something that it necessarily wouldn't work as a mainstream release. But my idea is this. If the estate creates a subsidiary label that would facilitate those type of recordings, and they don't always have to be pretty, they don't have to be remastered, if depending on the quality of the tapes, if it's a 2-inch tape, that you can mix and master and remaster and have it come out great, that would work. But if the only version of it that exists is on some cassette someplace and it's just good enough quality to put out on a CD or vinyl, then I think there should be a subsidiary label created just for that, and just for the fan base, because we would support it. We'd have our money, we'd be ready. Like I said, quite a few measuring sticks for that. The obvious template would be the Hendrix estate with their Dagger Records subsidiary. Check that out. You can go to Experience Hendrix LLC or experiencehendrix.com. But go to the official Jimi Hendrix website and check out Dagger Records and just see what they have available versus a lot of the mainstream releases, like, album reissues and just all of their vault stuff, compilations, live recordings, box sets. Just see what Dagger Records has stacked up against the mainstream stuff. And you could see that would be something that would work, in the Prince estate's favor. Because, like I said, there's, bootlegs. Like I said, there's Small Club, which, I think that would work more so as a mainstream. It's legendary enough, and it seems to be well known amongst the fan base to where, again, Sony could put that out. But then the estate could just drop a different after show, because there's so many to choose from. And like I said, not all of them have a legendary status, but there are some shows that are familiar with a large percentage of the fan base, that there would be enough demand to where you can put it out under this subsidiary label. You can even call it Paisley Park if you want, and just release that. You can also use that subsidiary for the Protege stuff. Maybe minus the time and minus Sheila E. You can make an argument for Vanity Six as well. Exclude them. Have those be mainstream releases, but anything else, whether it's like The Family, Maserati, Tony Lamons, Jill Jones, that stuff can come out under this subsidiary. And again, you can call it Paisley Park if you want, because you still have that trademark and you can still put that name into use to utilize the IP. But, put those things out as well. But like I said, when it comes to Prince, like I said, what was something else? Something else I was listening to, and I have to finish listening to it because it was fantastic. It's on YouTube somewhere, and it's some rehearsals from 2012, 2013, and it opens up with, I guess is that if it's NPG or Third Eye Girl, I'm not certain, but it kicks off with the Dance Electric. Whew. Man, to me, the Third Eye Girl album, there's some stuff on there that they could have just left off of it and put their cover of the Dance Electric, their cover of Bambi on it, and that would have just blown the roof right off of that album. But yeah, but the rehearsal, like I said, I don't know who put it up or anything, but I have to go back and finish listening to it. But that is absolutely amazing. I mean, funky is all get out. Whew. That needs to be definitely on that subsidiary. Just put that out. I'll pay for it. Give me a nice CD cover and some good liner notes, some good pictures of that era, and man, I could listen to that for days. And that's the beauty of it. There's so many gems like that out there that it's no way that Sony could accommodate all of it, and there has to be an outlet. You can also do, again, one of somebody that I'm really getting more and more into over the years. I've gotten into more so over the last 10 to 15 years, and that's Frank Zappa. And there's going to be a documentary about him that's dropping soon. But even before I started getting deeper into his music, I was aware of his fight against bootleggers. I was aware of his fight against the PMRC. He was against censorship on records. And, but like I said, his fight against bootleggers, one of the best ideas ever. And I think this is something Bob Dylan took notice of too. But it was beating the boots. But Frank did it one better. So if there was a very popular or famous bootleg that was circulating, he managed to inventory all of that and release that, if it was a live recording or something, release that same track listing as the bootleggers, but it's the original. It's, he's mixed it, he's mastered it, or had it mastered or remastered, but he copied the artwork on it and put it out, And I know a lot of you collectors out there getting a little nervous, or bootleggers are getting a little nervous out there, But, I mean, thank you in a way for putting, having us have all this beautiful stuff to circulate. But I think we're ready now for, like I said, we want the family to eat, really, and to debate all you want about family relationships and this and that, but it's Prince's family. It's not your family. We're a Prince family in a different sort of way, but we can suggest certain things, you know, and a lot of us have shows, a lot of us have websites, a lot of us have social media accounts, and we can suggest things all day, every day. We can have our wish lists all day, every day. But at the end of the day, when it comes to this stuff actually coming out and reaping the benefits of it, you know, we reap the benefits emotionally because this stuff makes us feel damn good. But at the end of the day, it's Prince's family. It's not your family. So we want to see these people eat. You know, we don't want it to fall into the hands of, you know, whatever record label heads. You know, we don't want it to fall into their hands, and then next thing you know, you've got the Timbaland remix of When Doves Cry, or you've got, you know, Pharrell doing a duet, you know, with Prince. You know, it's like we don't want that. You know, we want Prince to have the respect that a Bob Dylan has. We want him to have the respect that the Beatles have, the respect that Jimi Hendrix has. You know, it's one thing, cool. You could do a tribute album that's separate, but when you get a Jimi Hendrix, you used to be able to get where they would overdub and stuff after the fact, but it's been told to people close to Hendrix by Hendrix himself that there were certain individuals he didn't want touching his music after he passed. So there's that. You know, there's Stevie Wonder, who during the 70s, when he was recording all that stuff that ended up on Talking Book and Fulfillingness and Innervisions, you know, he made it clear. It's like, if something happens to me, you destroy the tapes. And then he got into that car accident in 73, and you know, the engineers were visiting Stevie in the hospital, and Barry Gordy shows up, and he's like, hey, do you know where Stevie's tapes are? You know, we want Prince to have a level of respect, you know, with these vault recordings that, like I said, we reap the benefits emotionally from it. Like this sign of the times, not just me, but a lot of people across the board, and no slight to people that are fans of other eras, but you know, it's a feel good thing. You know, it's a feel good. This is our moment. You guys will get your moment. You know, one day there'll be that box set of the Symbol era. You know, hey, you know, you guys rejoice when you got the Rainbow Children drop and the One Night Alone drop and stuff like that. You know, there's something for everybody in it. And like I said, if they come up with an idea, it could be a subsidiary label, it could be a website. And that was the other thing with Frank, too. If you go to Frank Zappa's website, you'll see a section to where there are volumes of that Bite the Boots series that are available as downloads only. And then there are some you could still buy the CD, or you could still buy the vinyl and stuff like that. And like I said, I think that's something that the Prince estate could benefit from. Those type of templates. You know, because, you know, while you had, I would say, the Beatles who were popular all over the world, you know, there's a deep Beatles fan base. You know, they know about all those BBC recordings. You know, they know about the alternate studio takes of tracks from different albums, you know, those people. And now they're just now reaping the benefits. I mean, they started 20 years ago with the anthology. You know, that was sort of the beginning of sort of satisfying the fan base. But now they're really benefiting with the box sets of Sgt. Pepper, White Album, Abbey Road. Let It Be is probably going to be next year. with the release of a new version. It's not Let It Be, it's called Get Back, but it's taking a lot of the footage from Let It Be and puts the Beatles in a different perspective. There's hours upon hours of not only film footage, but studio vault recordings of, the Beatles. It's all kind of songs that they've done, covers, stuff that they were working out for Let It Be, that ended up on Abbey Road, that some stuff ended up on their different solo albums, that type of thing, early versions. Those are the things we want to see with Prince. Nobody's coming in, you don't see Justin Timberlake jumping on a Beatles track trying to sing with John or anything like that. You saw that with Michael, and to me that was creepy as hell. That whole album, as well as it was produced, that Escape Michael Jackson, as well as that was produced, that album is creepy as hell to me. Seeing the hologram on that show, doing, what's the name of the song? Is it Slave to the Rhythm or something like that? Seeing the hologram, that was creepy as hell. And it's like, we don't want to see that with Prince. We just want the music within the time capsule in which it was created. And that's all we need to hear. That's all we want to hear. I know I put forth the idea of maybe Jam and Lewis. If you're going to go in that direction, put it in their hands and nobody else's. I don't want Kanye's hands on it. I don't want Timbaland's hands on it. I don't want, whoever the DJ is that's producing records for Ariana Grande or whoever. I don't want them touching it. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. The closest, I don't know. I don't want to get nitpicky about it, but there are some exceptions. But like I said, that's the context right there. Just put it in Jam and Lewis's hands if you're going to go that route, and they'll be all right with it. But because that was something that was discussed between them and Prince, that being a possibility. So that's different. But other than that, just have it just on a different label. Just do a subsidiary label. Again, you can call it Paisley Park if you want. And just have it just for those after shows, certain concerts. Could be any era that, and especially like a lot of the later eras, where, again, it may not necessarily be mainstream, or you wouldn't be able to do certain shows as kind of similar to Bob Dylan's. They did a complete Rolling Thunder tour box set about a year or two ago. Stuff that wouldn't necessarily make it to a complete Sign of the Times tour box set. But, something you could just do a one-off, or some of the rehearsals and stuff, have it just be a one-off release, CD, LP. You could do a digital download if you want. And I think that would work. I think, like I said, the fan base in general, they would just get into it and have it be all eras. They're all funky. So just check it out. So, but what's most important is, what do you think? Would a separate label work? Do you think that certain rehearsals or after shows can be confined to a certain type of box set? Should it be like a website only download thing, or should they use the estate website to just release it exclusively? Just have it under the NPG banner. Don't worry about Sony. Don't worry about creating a separate label. leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. Once again, thanks for tuning in. And again, don't forget to download and listen on your favorite podcast platform. This episode, all previous episodes. Also, if you listen on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also, check out my website, AmariCommunications.com. Check out some merchandise. Buy a t-shirt, buy a mug. Yeah, we got the holy days coming up. So, if you're in a position to do stocking stuffers, or, there's that coworker you have that's a musician, there's some cool t-shirts and coffee mugs and keychains and stuff you can buy. And that stuff also, the proceeds help keep this show going. It also helps to finance other projects I've got going on as well. So definitely jump on there, support a brother, and buy some gear. And also tune in each and every week. Let's see what else is going on. Still, What's in the Crate, my blog post, that is coming back soon. Very soon. I am about a paragraph or two away from the next blog post. But check out all the previous posts there. And what else is going on? There's just a lot of stuff going on. And we're just trying to wind down the year. So just check things out. Stay on the website. Stay up to date. Let's continue to stay safe out there. Things are getting much worse out there. Be safe. Wear your mask. Don't blindly follow ideologies. Think for yourself. Read in between the lines. Study and question everything. And the way to really be together is to generate love for one another. Let's continue to do that. And as always, let's keep it purple and on the one.